Hey, Mama, let's start here. When was the last time someone checked in? Not about your to do list, not about how your kids are doing, but about you. Not just how you're feeling in the moment, but how you're really doing. With your own goals, with your sense of self, with your energy, with your dreams that have been sitting quietly on the back shelf. If that question feels hard to answer, you are absolutely not alone. And you're exactly who this conversation is for. Because the truth is, moms are out here carrying the emotional, physical, and mental weight of multiple lives. And we're still expected to show up whole, calm, goal oriented, and put together. But here's the catch: while you're showing up for everyone else, who is showing up for you? That's where accountability comes in. And no, not in the did you finish your homework kind of way. I'm talking about a supportive, grounded, consistent accountability structure built around you, around your pace, around your bandwidth, around your reality. So let me ask a better question. What if you had someone whose only job was to help you show up for yourself? What would that change? That's exactly what we're going to explore. And yes, before we get too deep in, I want you to know that if anything in this conversation resonates, you can check the link in the description to sign up to work with me as your accountability partner. That offer is open all throughout this episode. So, no rush, no pressure, just a gentle reminder that support is already available if you're ready. Now, let's start with the basics. What is accountability? At its core, accountability is simple. It's the act of being answerable for your commitments. With support, it's not just about being responsible or staying on track. It's about following through because someone else knows what you're aiming for and they care. And that one small shift, it changes everything. When you're accountable to someone else, you go from intentions floating around in your mind to concrete actions rooted in connection. Studies show that your chance of achieving a goal increases to 65% just by telling someone. But if you schedule ongoing check-ins with that person, your chances jump to 95%. That's huge. That's the difference between wishing something would change and actually living the change. Why moms specifically need this? Now, let's add the motherhood layer. Moms are constantly multitasking, but often emotionally undersupported. We're praised for doing the most, but rarely protected from burnout. And in that environment, our own wellness, growth, or peace of mind tends to come last. It's not that we don't care about ourselves. It's that we've been conditioned to believe everything else comes first. And that's exactly why accountability isn't just a helpful tool for moms. It's an act of resistance. It's how we carve space back out for ourselves. It's how we say, I matter too. With accountability, it becomes harder to ghost your own goals, harder to keep saying maybe later, and easier to start saying yes to the small things that bring you back to life. Let's get specific. What does an accountability partner do? Here's what it looks like in practice. You and I have a regular check-in, maybe once a week, maybe more. You name what matters to you right now, not what should matter, but what actually does. We create a plan to support that focus, with room for your real-life schedule, energy, and season. Throughout the week, I gently check in with you. We track progress, celebrate wins, and adjust as needed. It's flexible, it's non-judgmental, it's deeply human, and over time, your inner dialogue starts to change. You begin to feel seen again. You start to believe in your ability to follow through. You start to trust that you're capable, not perfect, not productive 24/7, but capable. Why it shouldn't be your partner or friend. This is a big one. A lot of moms try to turn to their partner or their best friend for this kind of support, and while those relationships matter deeply, they're usually not the right container for accountability. Why? Because they're too close. There's emotional history, there's caretaking and codependence, and conflict avoidance, and baggage. Your partner may mean well, but their reminders might feel like pressure or judgment. Your best friend might want to support you, but then skip the check-in when she's having a rough week herself. Or you might feel too weird sharing honestly when you didn't follow through. An accountability partner, especially someone outside your immediate circle, brings neutrality. I'm not tangled up in your household dynamics. I don't have a stake in your productivity. I'm just here to reflect your goals back to you, support you without shame, and remind you that your forward motion matters. It's clean, it's clear, and it's powerful. You don't need a big goal to need accountability. Another myth I want to bust. You do not need to have a 5-year plan or a business to build or a fitness milestone to reach to benefit from this. Maybe your current goal is to have a full breakfast 3 days a week. Maybe it's to read a chapter of a book every Sunday. Maybe it's to go to bed before midnight, twice. All of these are real. All of these are worthy. You don't need to prove that your life is big enough to deserve structure and support. You already qualify. Real talk. What happens without it? Without accountability, here's what happens. Weeks blur together. Time passes. You get stuck in decision fatigue. You abandon your routines. You stop reaching out. You stop even remembering what you were trying to do in the first place. Not because you're lazy, but because you're carrying too much alone. Accountability isn't magic, but it is a mirror. And when someone lovingly reflects your values, intentions, and progress back to you, it wakes something up in your brain. You begin to recalibrate, reorganize your attention, reconnect to what you want, not just what your family needs. What it feels like to be supported. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to get a message midweek that says, "Hey, just checking in. How's that water intake going this week? How are you doing?" Not because you need to perform, but because someone cares. Because you're not invisible. Because your small shifts matter. Because someone is witnessing your growth, your mess-ups, your bounce-backs, and offering presence. That's the power of accountability. And yes, if this sounds like something you're craving right now, there's a link in the description where you can sign up. No pressure, just permission to get the support you need. Let's pick up right where we left off. You're a mom. You're carrying the emotional infrastructure of your family. And if no one else has said this to you today, I see you. Now, let's talk about something that happens to nearly every mom I work with. It's called self-abandonment by default. Here's how it plays out. You start the week with good intentions, maybe even excitement. You've got that little voice inside whispering, "This is the week I move differently. I show up for myself. I try." And then a kid gets sick, or the car battery dies, or you forget to prep meals, or someone needs something urgently. And that little whisper inside you, it gets quieter and quieter. By Thursday, you're back in survival mode. That's not your fault. That's life, and that's exactly why an accountability structure matters so much for moms. Because without a check-in, without a pause, without someone saying, "Hey, remember what you wanted this week?" it's just too easy to lose the thread. Let's talk about emotional bandwidth. Your mental energy isn't infinite. You don't have endless willpower. And when you're already making hundreds of micro decisions a day for your family, there's just not a lot left for self-maintenance. So the idea that you should just try harder to build habits or follow routines without support, that's unrealistic. And honestly, it's harmful. An accountability partner protects your bandwidth. You're not burning energy trying to remember what your goal was. You're not stuck in decision loops. You've got a guide, a rhythm, and a consistent reflection. It feels like freedom. It feels like breathing room. And it often unlocks more capacity than you expected. What happens when you are accountable? When you build a regular accountability rhythm, your internal voice changes. You go from, I never follow through, to, I'm getting better at showing up. I'm too tired to start, to, I already planned for this. It's doable. I failed again, to, that was a tough week. I'll reset. And that voice, that shift, it affects how you parent, how you partner, how you treat your body, how you see your own value. It's not just about habits, it's about identity. And you get to rebuild that in small, consistent conversations. You don't need to be more disciplined. I want to say this clearly. You are not struggling because you lack discipline. You're struggling because you lack scaffolding. Discipline without support is punishment. What most moms need is a container, a soft structure to move within, a safe place to say, I tried, I missed, I'm ready to try again. That's accountability. It gives shape to your intentions and permission to be human while you pursue them. Let's walk through a week. Just to give you a clearer picture, here's what a typical week might look like if you were working with me. Monday check-in. You send a voice note or a message. This week I want to focus on stretching before bed, 3 times. Wednesday nudge. I message, how's it going? Anything in the way? Friday celebration. We reflect on what worked and what didn't, without shame. And if you didn't hit your goal, that's okay. We talk about why. We adjust. We keep going. No punishment, just presence. Real life example. Let me tell you about a mom named Janelle. She came to me saying, I'm stuck. I feel like I used to be organized, driven, creative, and now I'm just keeping everyone fed. We started small, 10 minutes a day for herself. She chose meditation, not to be spiritual, not to be impressive, just to hear herself think again. The first week, she did it once. The second week, twice. By week 4, she messaged me and said, it's like I found a part of myself I thought was gone. That's what steady, loving accountability can do. When you miss the mark, let's be real, you're going to miss some goals. Life will happen. But accountability isn't about perfection. It's about the comeback. When you have someone saying, it's okay, let's try again, you build resilience instead of shame. You stop spiraling. You start restarting. You stop hiding. You start recalibrating. That's a big deal, especially for moms who are so often made to feel like they have to get it right the first time. Spoiler, no one does, but you can keep showing up. Accountability as emotional hygiene. Here's something we don't talk about enough: emotional hygiene. Just like we brush our teeth and shower, we need regular check-ins with ourselves, not just journaling alone, but external reflection, processing, pausing. Accountability is emotional hygiene. You stop the week from becoming a blur. You remember what matters. You course correct. You breathe. And it doesn't have to be long. One intentional check-in can change the whole trajectory of your week. You're allowed to receive support. This part is so important. I need you to hear this. You are allowed to receive support before things fall apart. You don't need to be overwhelmed to deserve care. You don't need to be in crisis to justify help. You can ask for support simply because life is a lot, and you don't want to carry it all alone. In fact, The smartest moms I know don't wait until they're drowning. They reach out when they're still treading water because they want to keep going. Common goals moms bring to me. If you're wondering, is my goal too small? The answer is no. Here are some real-life goals I've helped moms with. Go to bed before 11 p.m. 3 times a week. Schedule that doctor's appointment they've been avoiding. Drink 2 full bottles of water a day. Take a 10-minute walk 3 times a week. Start a daily gratitude list. Spend 1 hour a week on a creative project. Write 1 Instagram caption for their small business. Declutter 1 drawer per week. All of it counts. All of it matters. Your accountability container can be anything that helps you feel more like you. This isn't coaching, it's companionship. One quick clarification. What I offer isn't coaching. It's not about strategy or pushing you to go bigger or faster. It's companionship. Think of me as your momentum mirror. I reflect your progress back to you. I remind you what you said mattered. I walk beside you while you remember how to show up for yourself again. That distinction is important because moms don't need more pressure. We need presence. Ready to start? If your body is saying yes right now, even a quiet yes, I want to invite you again to sign up using the link in the description. We'll start simple, a welcome note, a check-in, a plan. From there, it's week by week, step by step. You don't need to know exactly what your goal is. We can figure it out together. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing. And I'll be right there with you. Let's bring everything together. You've made it this far because something in you knows. Something in you recognizes the quiet cost of trying to do everything alone. You've been showing up for everyone else, and now you're ready to show up for you. So let's go deeper into what that really looks like. A life without accountability versus a life with it. Picture 2 parallel realities. In one, you wake up. The day starts pulling you in 5 directions, and even though you had a few good intentions, you don't get to them, and by bedtime, you're not even sure what you accomplished. You're tired, a little numb, maybe frustrated at yourself for not doing more. In the other version, you still wake up to a busy house, but you already decided last night that today you're focusing on one thing: a walk after lunch, or a water refill after breakfast, or 5 quiet minutes before bed. It's in your mind, it's been named, and someone will check in tomorrow and say, "Hey, did you do it?" That second version, that's a life with accountability. Same circumstances, same chaos, but a very different experience because you're no longer alone in your self-care. You've got a witness, a rhythm, a calm anchor, and that makes all the difference. Let's talk about shame. Shame is sneaky. It tells you that you should be doing better on your own, that asking for help is weakness, that you're the only one still struggling with the basics. Shame whispers things like, everyone else can manage without support. It's embarrassing to need check-ins just to stretch or hydrate. I should be more self-disciplined. But here's what's true. The moms who seek accountability, they're not weak, they're wise. They know that transformation happens in community, not isolation. They know that healing and growth are relational, and they refuse to stay stuck in silence. You're not behind, you're just ready for a new way. Identity work. Who are you becoming? Let's zoom out for a second. Accountability isn't just about actions, it's about identity. Each week you follow through on something you said mattered. You reinforce the identity of someone who shows up for herself. You rewire the part of your brain that used to say, "I never finish anything," or "I always quit halfway." You replace that story with, "I keep showing up, even when it's messy, even when it's slow. That kind of identity shift, that's gold. And it's how real change sticks. What about setbacks? Let's be real. Setbacks will happen. Kids will get sick. You'll get overwhelmed. You'll miss your bedtime goal 3 nights in a row. You'll forget to stretch, and that's okay, because accountability isn't about keeping a perfect streak. It's about shortening the gap between I fell off and I'm back on. Without support, that gap might be weeks or months. With support, it might be 24 hours. That's the power of compassionate accountability. It helps you bounce back faster. Accountability is nervous system regulation. Did you know that regular check-ins help regulate your nervous system? It's true. When you know someone is going to ask how you're doing, gently, without judgment, it actually calms your stress response. You begin to feel safer in your own mind. Less spinning, less overwhelm, more calm, more clarity. That's what happens when the body and brain feel consistently supported, and that alone is reason enough to lean in. Let's talk about worthiness. Some moms hesitate to ask for accountability because they secretly feel like their goals aren't important enough. They say things like, "It's just journaling. I just want to walk more. I'm not building a business. It's just small stuff." But here's the truth. If it matters to you, it matters. There are no small goals in motherhood, only sacred ones. Because every time you choose to care for yourself, you're modeling something for your kids. You're saying, my needs matter. My time has value. My joy isn't optional. It's essential. That is a radical, beautiful, necessary thing. A few more real-life stories. I worked with a mom named Tess. Her only goal at first? Rest without guilt. She wasn't trying to write a book or train for a marathon. She just wanted to nap sometimes and not feel like a failure. We created a plan. We tracked her resistance. We celebrated every moment she chose to lie down. And you know what happened? She started dreaming again. Creativity came back. Her mood shifted, all from rest. Another mom, Lauren, had one focus, finishing one chapter of a book each week. That's it. She hadn't read a novel in years. 12 weeks later, she finished 4 books. She said, "I feel like my brain woke back up." That's the power of consistency. So, what happens if you don't do this? Here's the hard part. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Without some form of accountability, most moms will stay in the cycle of burnout, guilt, overgiving, and self-neglect. They'll keep believing it's a discipline problem when really, it's a support problem. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can disrupt the pattern. You can choose connection over isolation. You can start building a life that includes you again. What you get when you work with me. If you're curious what it actually looks like to work together, here's what's included in my accountability partner service. A weekly 30-minute check-in call or voice exchange, daily weekday support via text or voice note, a printable goal tracker and mindset sheet, emotional encouragement, not pressure, gentle reminders to focus on your well-being, a safe space to talk about your real life, not just your productivity. It's simple, it's affordable, and it's built for moms by someone who gets it. And you can sign up anytime using the link in the description. You're not too late. You're right on time. This is your reminder that you're not behind. You're not late to the party. You haven't wasted too much time. You're arriving at the perfect moment, the one where you realize you're worth showing up for. That moment, that's sacred. It's the beginning of a new season, and I would be honored to walk with you as it begins. Let's end with this. So let's breathe. You're doing beautifully. even when it feels messy, even when it feels slow, even when you're unsure. The fact that you're here, listening to this, thinking about your needs, considering support, that's evidence of your growth already. You deserve to feel supported. You deserve to feel witnessed. You deserve to feel like your life isn't just one long to-do list. And most importantly, you don't have to do this alone. Let's walk together. Click the link when you're ready. I'll be here. Let's go even deeper. If you're still with me, if something in this conversation has sparked a shift, stirred something real, I want to invite you to keep going. We've talked about what accountability is, why it matters for moms, and how it changes lives. Now, let's expand. Let's explore the psychology behind it, the resistance to it, and the quiet transformations that build over time. The psychology behind accountability. Let's start with the science. Why does accountability work so well? It comes down to how our brains are wired. The human brain is highly social. We are neurologically designed to co-regulate, to feel motivated in community, and to thrive in relationships. This is especially true for mothers, who often spend their days attuning to others, but rarely receive that attunement back. Accountability activates what's called the social expectation network. When we share a goal with someone, our brain treats it as more real because now it's relational, not just internal. That added layer of expectation increases follow through by leveraging our intrinsic drive to maintain connection and consistency. Also important, dopamine. Each small win, each moment of follow through, releases a little hit of dopamine, a reward chemical that builds motivation over time. But when no one is there to witness those wins, the effect is smaller. Accountability partners are like dopamine amplifiers. We reflect the progress back to you, and your brain starts linking those actions with success, with safety, with satisfaction. Resistance to accountability. Why we push back. Let's talk about the pushback, because you might already be feeling it. I should be able to do this on my own. What if I disappoint someone again? I don't want to be a burden. It feels silly to need help with something so small. These thoughts are common, and they are rooted in something deeper: fear and conditioning, fear of being seen. When you've been in self-sacrifice mode for years, it can feel vulnerable, even scary, to let someone in, to say, "This matters to me." Because if it matters and it still doesn't happen, now there's disappointment, right? But I want to reframe that. Being seen is not a risk, it's a resource. It's how healing begins. It's how we stop hiding and start living. Conditioning around independence. Many of us were raised to believe that needing support is weakness, that capable women figure it out, that good moms don't ask for help. Let's name that for what it is: a lie. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to be supported. You are allowed to want more ease. A tool you can use right now: the gentle check in. Here's a simple tool I use with moms every week, something you can start using right now, even before working with someone. The gentle check in. Once a week, carve out 5 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Ask yourself 4 questions. What went well this week? What drained me? What do I want to feel more of next week? What is one small thing I can do to support that feeling? Don't overthink it. Just answer honestly. You don't even need to act on everything. Just practice naming. This tiny act of self-connection is a form of accountability, and it's powerful. Understanding bandwidth. The spoon theory. Let's go deeper on energy. If you haven't heard of the spoon theory, it's a metaphor coined by Christine Miserandino to explain how people with chronic illness manage limited energy. But it's just as applicable to motherhood. Imagine you start the day with 12 spoons. Each task, getting kids dressed, making breakfast, answering emails, costs a spoon. Now imagine your child has a meltdown. That's 3 spoons gone. By noon, you've got maybe 4 spoons left. Accountability helps you protect your spoons instead of using them up trying to decide what to do next or beating yourself up for forgetting something. You have a clear plan. You've already chosen where the spoons go. That's energy stewardship. And for moms, it's everything. Ritual versus routine. One more distinction that matters: ritual versus routine. Routines are task based, rituals are meaning based. Drinking water? That's a routine. Drinking water while pausing to breathe and ask, "What do I need right now?" That's a ritual. Accountability invites ritual into your life. It helps you turn mundane moments into intentional ones. It shifts the energy from checklist to care. And in a life that's often run by logistics, that shift is sacred. Self forgiveness as a practice. Let's talk about forgiveness. Every mom I've ever worked with has carried guilt about goals they didn't meet, expectations they didn't fulfill, or dreams they left behind. But accountability done right teaches self forgiveness because every check in becomes a mirror of grace. You missed a walk? Okay, what happened? You forgot to stretch? Got it. Let's try again tomorrow. You wanted to write but felt too tired? That's information, not failure. Over time, this builds a new reflex: self compassion instead of self criticism. And that changes everything. The invisible labor of motherhood. Here's another piece that rarely gets named: invisible labor. That's the mental load, the emotional tracking, the future planning that mothers do every day. A 2019 study in Socius, Sociological Research for a Dynamic World, found that moms are still doing nearly twice as much cognitive labor at home compared to dads, even in dual income households. Accountability doesn't erase that labor, but it offers counterbalance: a space where the only labor is your growth, where someone else holds you in mind, where the spotlight turns inward, not out of selfishness, but out of restoration. How to know if you're ready. So, how do you know if accountability is for you? Here's a quick self check. You often feel like you have intentions, but they never translate into action. You struggle with consistency, not because you don't care, but because you're overwhelmed. You crave gentle structure, but not more pressure. You miss feeling like your goals matter, even if they're small. You want to feel like someone is walking with you, not pushing you. If any of these resonate, you're not just ready, you're ripe for this kind of support. The Tiny Goal Framework. Let's talk about scale. One of my favorite tools with clients is what I call the Tiny Goal Framework. Here's how it works. Name your big picture. Example: I want to feel more present in my body. Break it into micro goals: stretching, hydration, a slow meal, a dance break. Choose one action that takes less than 5 minutes. Roll your shoulders, sip water, step outside. Track that one action consistently with grace. We often underestimate what tiny, repeated choices can do. But consistency builds identity, and identity shifts sustain change. The version of you that's waiting. Before we close, I want to invite you into a short reflection. Picture a version of you, 6 months from now, who's been gently held in weekly accountability, who's been showing up, imperfectly but consistently, who's been tracking small goals and forgiving the setbacks. What's different about her? How does she talk to herself? How does she move through the day? What has she reclaimed? That version of you is not far away. She starts with one decision: to say yes to being supported, to say yes to herself. If anything you've heard today has landed in your body, stirred your heart, or made you whisper, "This is what I need," then I want to invite you again. Click the link. Say yes to being seen. Say yes to sustainable change. Say yes to building a version of your life that includes you, because your needs are not extra. They are essential. And I would be honored to walk with you every step of the way. You're not too much. You're not too late. You are just in time. I'll be here when you're ready.